Hello and welcome to the Virtual Connections session number 4, quiz number 4 for me, Adrian Garratt. You may remember, if you've seen me before, I normally play a lot in Chelsea and Westminster Hospital and also West Middlesex Hospital as part of the Arts for All programme. Provided by the hospital charity CW+, but in these strange times we are putting our programme online here at Virtual Connections. So I've done 3 quizzes so far. This is quiz number 4. It's a warm day today. Have a drink with me. So I'll be playing a little bit of music, asking you some questions. Wherever you are, you can join in. You can join in by writing the answers down on a piece of paper. You can use a smartphone or a tablet to write down answers. You can do the answers in your head. If it's difficult for you to write them down, you may be in a hospital somewhere watching this on a Hospedia screen. You may be at home recovering. You may have some other connection to the hospital, or you may have just chanced upon this YouTube channel and thought, what is this? So welcome, wherever you are, whoever you are. So each quiz has a theme, and I'll be asking you to have a little mental note on that, see whether you can guess the theme. We've had themes of love, we've had themes of royalty and rulers. What was last week's? Can't remember what last week's was. This week's is a new theme, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. And also, if you want to get in touch, there is an email address. The email address is here. It is arts@cwplus.org.uk. If you want to get in touch with any questions, any feedback, any thoughts, anything to say at all, just to say hello, then write an email. Let us know. If I get any of that information, I can give you a shout out possibly. It's not live, so we can't do the live shout out thing, but if you do want to mention, then feel free to get in touch and I can hopefully do that for you. So, I look across my notes over here. So yeah, we covered that. Now, we have some rollover questions. Every week I do a couple of questions to roll over till the next week. And last week we had a couple of questions and I'm going to go over those and give you some answers. So question number 1, rollover question number 1 was about Henry Mancini. We had a little piece of music by Henry Mancini last week. And my question to you was, Henry Mancini wrote a piece of music about a small, large animal. A small, large animal. And my question was, what is the name of that small, large animal about which Henry Mancini wrote his piece of music? And the answer is a baby elephant. A baby elephant. He wrote the Baby Elephant Walk. I think the Baby Elephant Walk, which we might do in a future quiz. Who knows? If I learn it. I need to learn how to play all these pieces. That's rollover question number 1. Rollover question number 2 was a question about airports. I think we did Yellow Submarine. I played Yellow Submarine last week. I think it was colours. That was a theme last week, colours. So we did Yellow Submarine. And there is a 51-foot model of a Yellow Submarine, which resides outside John Lennon Airport in Liverpool. My question was, there is another airport on the other side of the world in New Zealand, in Wellington. Now, if you fly into New Zealand Airport in Wellington Airport in New Zealand, you'll see another huge sculpture on the outside of the building, and I think there's one on the inside as well. And my question is, what is that sculpture of? What is it that greets you in Wellington Airport in New Zealand? And the answer is a massive model of Gollum from The Lord of the Rings, and he's reaching out for his ring. It's very dramatic and a bit scary, really. Anyway, that was there because I think a lot of it was filmed in New Zealand. So, if you ever go to Wellington, watch out for that. You can't miss it, really. Anyway, on with the quiz today. We're going to start with a bit of classical music. One of the most famous classical pieces of music ever written. This is a piece by Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Yeah, one of his most famous pieces, which goes a bit like this. There you go. A bit of Mozart. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, of course. Written way back when in a country far, far away by the young man himself. Three questions about that piece, or about Mozart. Let's see. Number one, that was the first movement of Mozart's piece called the Eine kleine Nachtmusik Serenade. Eine kleine Nachtmusik Serenade. And my question, number one, first question today is, what does Eine kleine Nachtmusik mean? Pretty simple. Possibly if you speak German, which you may not. So, what does Eine kleine Nachtmusik mean? That's question number one. Question number two. I have to keep the windows closed while I record this for noise reasons, and there's no through draft. It's very warm, very warm. Question number two. So all of Mozart's music, when he wrote a piece, he gave it a number, or somebody classified it later on and gave it a number. And so that was piece number X. Piece number X. And my question is, what piece number was that? What piece number was that in Mozart's writing career? Was that the first piece he wrote, the last piece he wrote, number 10, number 100? What number was it? What number piece was that in Mozart's repertoire? How many pieces had he written before he wrote that one? Is the question. That's question number two. Question number three. How old was Mozart when he died? How old was Mozart when he died? 1791, I think he died in. So if you know what year he was born in, you can work it out. I think that's right. 1791, I think. Anyway, how old was he when he died? There you go. That's your three Mozart questions. Write down the answers. Remember the answers. What's the name of the piece in English? What number piece was it? And number three, how old was he when he died? All right, so we're going to do some answers halfway through. We'll do some answers, and then we'll do some more answers at the end, and then we'll have a couple of rollover questions for next week. All right, so now we're going to come a bit more up to date with a piece of music that is, well, I won't tell you how old it is because that's one of the questions. This is a little piece of music by a band you may have heard of called Coldplay. you go. A little bit of Coldplay for you. Early Coldplay. So, a few questions about Coldplay. Very famous song by Coldplay, one of their defining numbers, I think. What is it called? First question, what is that song called? One word. I'm not going to give you any more clues than that. What was it called? And the next question, question number 5. Question number 5, hope you're writing these down or remembering these. Answers soon. Question number 5 is, what year did Coldplay release that song? What year did Coldplay release that song? Time to feel old, everyone. Yes, that's right. What year did Coldplay release that song? 5 years ago? 10 years ago? 15 years ago? That's scary stuff. Always find it scary. Right, so what year did Coldplay release that song? Which is called question number 4. And question number 6. Question number 6 is, what international sporting event did Coldplay perform at in 2012? Now, there may be more than one, so I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to say it was in London. It was in London. So 2012 in London. What international sporting event did Coldplay perform at in London in 2012? I mean, you may think the answer is obvious. We're going to ask for a specific answer here. Specific answer. Okay. So that was it. That's question number 6. And now on to piece number 3. Oh yeah, I said last week, we were going to try and get an answers jingle. So when we got to the answers, I'd do a little jingle. And I haven't thought of one. So that might not happen, but we'll see. We'll see if I get inspired by anything in the next sort of 5 minutes. So piece number 3. Piece of music number 3 is a little bit older than Coldplay, but not too much older. Piece from the 60s by the most famous band in the world. Fade out. There we go. That was a Beatles track called A Hard Day's Night. Hard Day's Night, of course. Hope you're singing along with that one. So Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Question number 7. That song was released in 1964. What is the name of the album that song was released on? What is the name of the album that song was released on? And remember, get in touch. arts@cwplus.org.uk. What are you thinking? What are you thinking about this virtual connections that Arts for All are providing, or the charity providing, the Arts for All program gone online, virtual connections. I believe that I am recording this on the day that the launch of virtual connections. So you might be watching this a little bit later. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Get in touch. arts@cwplus.org.uk. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? What do you think is great? What do you think is not as good? What do you want? What would you like? Anyway, so Beatles, what was the name of the album? Question number 8. Question number 8 is, of the 13 songs on this album, How many were written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney? How many of the 13 songs were written by the killer duo, John Lennon and Paul McCartney? All right, so 13 songs on the album. How many were written by them? And question number 9. Which famous Disney film features a quartet of mop-topped vultures with Liverpudlian accents? Which famous Disney film features a quartet of mop-top vultures with Liverpudlian accents? Too easy? Don't know. So that's question number 3. Oh, it's a good film. I have to have some music from that film in future weeks. Yes. Excited about that one. All right, so that was piece number 3. Piece number 3. Now, piece number 4. Piece number 4 is going a little bit further back in time to well, how far back in time is the question? You joining in? There we go. Now, you may know that song as, well, one of a few things, really. I'm going to assume that we know the Elvis version. The Elvis version recorded in, who knows when. That's not even a question. So, Elvis recorded that song. And it's based on another song. Or another version of it. And my first question is, which Neapolitan song is It's Now or Never based on? So the Elvis version, it's now or never, based on which Neapolitan song? All right, so that's question number 10. Question number 10. Question number 11. Which of Elvis's singles was his best-selling single? Which of Elvis Presley's singles was his best-selling single? Have a guess. All right, so that's question number 11. Which of Elvis's singles was his best-selling single? Question number 12 could be way too easy, I think. So in the 80s and 90s in this country, and a few other countries actually, that song, a version of that song, was used to sell a certain product. My question is, what product and what the name of the company? What company was that song used to sell in the 80s and 90s? Had a 10-year run, this advert. A 10-year run. Amazing. So if you don't get that, then I'm surprised. I'm surprised. So there you go. What product was this song used to advertise in the 80s and 90s in this country and a few other countries as well? Ireland, Italy, I think. International company. So there you go. So that's your 3 questions for song number 4. And now it's time for the answers. Now, what should we do? Right, here we go then. The answers to part 1 of quiz number 4 with me, Adrian Garratt, usually found in the wards at Chelsea and Westminster and West Middlesex hospitals, but today found in my house, in my room, very warm, recording this quiz for you. So answers number 1. So first of all, we start off with this piece. Bit of Mozart, famous bit of Mozart, very famous bit of Mozart. Question number 1, it's called Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik Serenade. And my question is, what is Eine kleine Nachtmusik Serenade in English? And in English it means a little bit of night music. A little bit of night music. So where I am, not the right time to play it, not the right time of day to be playing it. But hey ho. So that piece is called A Little Bit of Night Music. It's 4 movements, originally written, I think, for a string quartet. But there is also a string chamber music version. He wrote loads and loads of string quartets, Mozart. Very good at that, it was. Anyway, so it means a little bit of night music. Question number 2. What number piece was that in Mozart's composing history? So he wrote loads of music and each one was given a number. So he started off at number 1. And my question was, what number was that? How many pieces had he written before he wrote that one? And the answer is, that was piece number 525. 525. So he had a bit of practice by the time he wrote that one. Which is why it's so good. Although he started, as we previously discovered in quiz number 1, I think, we discovered that he wrote his first symphony when he was 8. Anyway, so there you go, 525th piece that he wrote. And question number 3 about Mozart is, how old was Mozart when he died? How old was Mozart when he died? And the answer is, sadly, he died when he was 35 years old, which is obviously a tragedy, because what else would he have written? What else would he have written had he lived to a ripe old age? So very sadly, he died when he was 35, and died not particularly sort of well known or well thought of, really. He had a great childhood where he travelled around Europe and was very famous, but he died. Yeah, well, watch the film, Amadeus. Anyway, then we moved on to this one. Chris Martin and his friends wrote that, and they released it in what year? Oh yeah, what was it called? What was it called? So question number 4, what was that song called? One word, and the word is Clocks. Clocks. That's Coldplay's song, Clocks, which was released in what year? Question number 5. And the year is 2003. 2003, 17 years ago. 17 years ago they released that song as part of their second album, I believe. Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, second album. It was going to be on the third album, but then they weren't happy with the way the second album was looking, so they rejigged a few of their pieces that were kind of in reserve for the third album and stuck that on. So Clocks, 2003. And which international sporting event did Coldplay play at in London in 2012? Well, I mean, fairly obviously, probably something to do with the Olympics. It was one of the closing ceremonies, not the closing ceremony of the actual Olympics, it was the closing ceremony of the Paralympics. So just after the closing ceremony of the Olympics, they played in the Olympic Stadium to however many thousand people were there. Yeah, you can watch it all online, I think. Still, Chris Martin in the middle of the arena on his huge thing, delivering his words of wisdom to the masses. Yeah, pretty stonking gig. So there you go, closing ceremony of the Paralympic Games. Question number 6. And then we had a bit of Beatles. Etc, etc. A Hard Day's Night featured on which album? Question number 7. Which album did A Hard Day's Night get released on? And the answer is A Hard Day's Night. Same name, single, album and film. They were flying at that point in their lives. All over the world. I mean, #1 in America, #1 in England. I think they had the #1 song and the #1 album in America and England at the same time. And I think it was the first band that ever did that. So, yeah, they were rocking. So A Hard Day's Night, released in 1964, on the album A Hard Day's Night. Question number 8. 13 songs on that album. 13 songs on the album A Hard Day's Night. My question was, how many of those songs were written by Lennon and McCartney? John Lennon and Paul McCartney, how many songs did they write on the album? And the answer is 13. All of them. They were, yeah, the duo. So they wrote all the songs on that album. Question number 9. Which famous Disney film features a quartet of mop-topped vultures with Liverpudlian accents? And the answer is The Jungle Book. Not voiced by the Fab Four, though. They are voiced by 4 other people. Anyway, so there you go. And I think when they did a remake of The Jungle Book, they tried to get some Beatles featuring on it, but didn't manage it. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's very good. They do a bit of barbershop singing, which is lovely. So there you go. That's my Beatles questions. And then we had one more song. This one. Which you may know as an Elvis song. That's kind of how I know it. But the first question about that song, It's Now or Never, is which Neapolitan song is that based on? Which Neapolitan song from the sort of turn of the 20th century, I think, is that based on? And the answer is O Sole Mio. O Sole Mio, which I think Elvis recorded later on in his career. He did a version, which is an O Sole Mio version. And next question, question number 11, is which of Elvis Presley's singles was his best-selling single? Which of Elvis Presley's singles was his best-selling single? And the answer is It's Now or Never. So there you go. That was his best-selling single ever. And question number 12. Question number 12 is what product was that piece of music? Different words, obviously, used to advertise in the UK in the 80s and 90s. And the answer is obviously the Cornetto, made by Walls. The Cornetto, 10-year run for that advert. And you could all sing along. You probably were singing along with those words as I played it. Anyway, now it's the intermission. The intermission, which is the bit of music where you don't have to think about anything. You don't have to write any answers down. There's going to be no questions about this at all. Just a little bit of music, which hopefully is nice on the ears for you to listen to. Have a break. Get yourself a drink. Slurp it down. Or check your phone. Any emails? Facebook? What's going on? Here we go. There we go, a little piece of music by George Frederick Handel, which yeah, I don't think I've played that on the quiz yet, but that's a bit from, well, perhaps I won't tell you. Perhaps it'll be featuring another quiz later on. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so now on with part 2. Part 2, get those pens, pencils, screens with keyboards ready, or in your head. In your head. Are you ready to answer some more questions? So we're going to go forward in time from Handel, a long way, back to the 60s again, the 1960s. We're going to play a little song. Perhaps you'll remember this one. There we go. A version of a song called, the first question I think will be, what was it called? Recorded in the 60s by Mary Hopkin. Mary Hopkin did that song. And it is called, all right, so that's question number 13. Question number 14, it's a cover. It's a cover, sort of a traditional Russian song. Wow. I think that's going to be too difficult. That question is going to be too difficult. I was going to ask who sang it famously in the beginning of the 20th century, but I think we'll scrap that. We'll go for a slightly easier question, or a question that you might be able to guess at. The Mary Hopkin version in the 60s was produced by a very, very, very famous producer, not known quite so much for being a producer, known more for being a singer-songwriter. May have already featured in this quiz. So my question is, who produced that song? Who produced the Mary Hopkin version in the 60s of this song? Who produced it? All right, and question number 15. Last question about this song. Mary Hopkin became famous having been on television. She achieved fame through being on television. What show did she become famous on television? Which is a sort of direct result of that, really. So she became very famous on a TV show. What is the name of that TV show? All right, got that? Got your three answers. What's the name of the song? Who produced it in the 60s? Cover of the Russian song. Difficult question. Didn't answer that. And which TV show did Mary Hopkin become famous on? Right now, moving on to another very famous song. A little bit later. Or this version anyway. Well. Perhaps you were singing along to that as well. So that was Morning is Broken, a hymn from the 30s, which Cat Stevens recorded in 1971 on an album. So we're going to start with a very tricky question. What was the name of the album that song featured on in 1971? Very tricky question for you, that one. What was the name of the album that the Cat Stevens recorded that on in 1971? All right. Got to be a couple of difficult ones in there as well. Any Cat Stevens fans out there? Who knows? Question 17. On that song, the keyboard, the piano part, was played by a very famous pianist. I've heard him recently on Radio 2. Yeah, a few years ago. He was on Radio 2 quite a lot. Christmas on the Simon Mayo show. Probably doesn't give you any clues. But he was in a band called Yes. And he took time out from the band to record that song with Cat Stevens. What is his name? So what's the name of the keyboard player on that song? The 1971 recording by Cat Stevens. Name of the keyboard player. And question number 18. What name is Cat Stevens now professionally known as? Changed his name. What is his current stage name or performing name? So Cat Stevens' new performing name is... Question number 18. All right, we've got a couple more pieces of music for you now. We're going to have another amazing piece now. Beautiful, beautiful song. See if I can do this one justice. There you go. Summertime. So which 1935 Gershwin musical does that song come from? Question number 19. Question number 19. Which 1935 Gershwin musical does that song come from? Question number 20. So according to Wikipedia, we had one of these questions a couple of weeks ago, I think. According to Wikipedia, how many thousands of versions are there of that song of Summertime? I think we had another one where there are about 1,000 versions. So this time I'm asking you, how many thousands of versions are there of the song Summertime by Gershwin? So it's composed in 35. It's got a few decades for people to rock out some cover versions. So how many thousands of cover versions are there of that song? So a version of the song recorded by an English new wave pop band consisting of 3 former members of the Specials reached number 18 in the UK chart in 1982. Can you name the band? It's a real question, that one. So 1982, a version by an English trio, 3 members of ex-members of the Specials recorded a version of that song. It got to number 18 in the UK charts in 1982. What was the name of that band? Okay. Get there. I think you're going to get that one. I think you are. Especially you. Yes, I think you're going to get it. All right, we've got one more piece. it's time for a trip into the world of the musical. Well, another trip. I had about Gershwin. Now we're going to have a slightly more modern musical. Here we go. There you go. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful morning. So that was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein. And it was taken from their 1943 musical, What? What is the name of the musical that was taken from? So we've had a Gershwin. What was the name of the Gershwin musical? What was the name of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical? That was question number 22. Question number 23. Name the Welsh opera singer, the Welsh male opera singer that recorded a version of that song. More famously known for Puccini and Wagner, early Mozart. But he recorded that song. Welsh male opera singer. Sings a lot with the Welsh National Opera. The Welsh National Opera. And all over the world, actually. And last question. The last question for today, apart from the rollover questions, which are coming soon. Question number 24. Question number 24. I am sitting here in my house. I'm recording this in the morning. And my question to you is it a beautiful morning? Is it a beautiful morning where I am now as I record this? So I think that's the last question. So that's answers part 2. I'll work on that. Right, answers part 2. We're going to go back to this one. The song by Mary Hopkin, recorded in the 60s. I asked you what is the name of the song, and the song is called Those Were the Days. Those were the days. Okay. Oh, by the way, theme. What's the theme? What is the theme? Right. So, question number 13. Those Were the Days, recorded by Mary Hopkin. We talked about how it was a Russian folk song, and I was going to ask you, and I didn't ask you that one question, but I did say, who was the producer of that song in the 60s? And I said he may have featured already in the quiz today, and that was a bit of a clue. It's produced by Paul McCartney. Produced by Paul McCartney on the Apple record label. I think she was one of the first acts ever to be signed by Apple. Having been on television, the next question was, which TV show did she rise to fame on? Like so many other wonderful performers, she rose to fame on the ITV show Opportunity Knocks. So there you go. Opportunity Knocks was where Mary Hopkin rose to fame. So that's question 13, 14, 15. And then we have this one. '30s hymn tune, covered in the 70s by Cat Stevens. And I asked you a very tricky question. What's the name of the album that song featured on? And the name of the album was Teaser and the Firecat. Now, if you got that one, I mean, you've got to give yourself at least an extra 20 points, I reckon. Of course, the scoring's up to you. You can give yourself as many points as you like for each question you answer correctly. So your score currently could be in the thousands. Or it could be 0. Who knows? Anyway, the Teaser and the Firecat, 1971. Which famous keyboard player played on that song in 1971 with Cat Stevens? And the answer is Rick Wakeman of Yes fame, and also playing Christmas tunes on Simon Mayo on Radio 2 fame. Yeah, he got around, did work with David Bowie as well. So it's Rick Mateman playing keyboards on that song. And by what name is Cat Stevens now known? So question number 18, by what name is Cat Stevens now known? And the answer is Yusef. Yusef, there you go. And then we have this one. Gershwin classic from 1935 from his musical Porgy and Bess. Porgy and Bess. Question number 19. What musical did that song come from? Porgy and Bess. Question number 20. According to Wikipedia, how many versions of that song, how many versions of Summertime are there? Wikipedia reckons 25,000. 25,000. There you go. Pretty stoked, wouldn't you, if you've written a song with 25,000 cover versions? So 25,000 cover versions, according to Wikipedia. And then question number 21, it was covered by an English trio, all previous members of the Specials in 1982, got to number 18 in the charts. What is the name of that band? The three guys were called Fun Boy 3. Fun Boy 3, there you go. Some tricky questions here at the end, tricky questions, Popmaster stuff this is. And then we have our last tune, also from the world of musicals. So, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, what a beautiful morning. So what's the name of the 1943 Rodgers and Hammerstein musical that it's taken from? And the answer is Oklahoma, with an exclamation mark, I think. Question number 23. Question number 23. Name the Welsh male opera singer who covered that song. He's bass baritone, known for his Wagner, known for his Puccini, known the world over. He covered that song. What's his name? His name is Bryn Terfel. Bryn Terfel. There you go. Check him out. He's great. And the last question today, apart from the rollover questions, question number 24. I'm recording this in the morning here in my house, and my question is it a beautiful morning? And the answer is yes, it is an absolutely sunny morning. So wonderful. So very happy to be experiencing this weather, and looking forward to just getting a bit of fresh air when I can open the window at the end of this recording. So there you go, question number 24. Now, so I think that's nearly it. So three questions left. Firstly, what was the theme? What was the theme this week? What do we have? We had, all that stuff. Those were the days. We had Morning is Broken, Summertime, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, Clocks. The theme this week is time. Time. And we have a couple of rollover questions for you. So one of them is about George Gershwin. George Gershwin wrote, hundreds of songs. He worked a lot with his brother, his older brother, who was a lyricist. And my question is, what was his brother's name? What was George's brother's name? Was it Bert? Was it Fred? Was it Dave? No. What was George's brother's name? And my last question is about Mary Hopkin. So she rose to fame having won Opportunity Knocks on ITV. And my question is this: which famous British comedian and actor, probably more known for his comedy, I'm not sure, famous comedian and actor who's very successful, his Roadrunner tour grossed nearly £30 million a few years ago. He auditioned for the show in 1986, but he failed to get past the initial audition. What is his name? So which famous British comedian and actor auditioned for it in 1986, didn't get past the first round? How little do they know? So there were two rollover questions. So we'll look at those at the beginning of next week's session. And as ever, comments welcome. arts@cwplus.org.uk. Any comments about the Virtual Connections programme, which is the online version of the Arts for All, provided by the CW Plus, the hospital charity at Chelsea and Westminster and West Middlesex. Big shout out to those of you who are watching in the hospital. I hope your stay there is brief. And to those of you watching at home, my name is Adrian Garratt. I'll be back with another musical quiz featuring some violin playing and random questions next week with another theme with the answers to the rollover questions. Stay safe, have a great week. Until then, pleasure playing for you. Goodbye for now. Bye bye.